Congratulations on the purchase of your new central vacuum system. It will make cleaning your home easier and improve indoor air quality. This video will explain how your system works and how to install it in your home in just 7 steps. In fact, you've already completed step number 1. You've purchased your powerful new system. Here's why your central vacuum system is so powerful and so effective at removing dirt and dust from your home. This is the power unit, with a motor that's much larger than you'll find in upright vacuums. And it's more powerful, up to 5 times more powerful. And because it holds more dust, dirt, and debris, you won't have to empty it as often, only 2 or 3 times a year. The power unit collects dust by pulling it through tubing in the walls of your home, tubing you're going to learn how to install with this video. The third ingredient in this powerful mix is the inlet valve. We'll show you how to install yours and attach them to the tubing. Then it's a matter of plugging in the hose, turning on the power, and then easily and conveniently ridding your home of dirt, dust, dust mites, pollen, and other allergens. Now let's get started. For a solid, superior installation, all you have to do is follow 3 important tips. 1. Watch this video. 2. Read the manual. This handy guide goes into detail on everything we can't cover in this video. Carry it with you and use it as your guide throughout the process. And tip number 3, read up on your local building codes so your installation complies with them. 2 other notes. First, keep in mind that the tubing and fittings you'll be using are specifically designed for your central vacuum system. Other types of tubing, like plumbing pipe, won't work because they're different sizes. They won't fit. Second, because of continuous design updates, some of the components you see here may not look exactly like the ones in your central vacuum kit. Okay, let's go. First, assemble all the tools you're going to need. There's nothing too exotic: an electric drill, a saw, a couple of wire hangers. Check the manual for a complete list. And be sure to wear your safety glasses. A hacksaw and miter box will work to cut the tubing, but a pipe cutter will give you cleaner, straighter cuts, and because it creates a smoother surface, it will help eliminate clogs in the tubing. And while an electric drill will work just fine, using a right angle drill can make the job a whole lot easier. Next, lay out and inventory all of the parts according to the manual, so you'll know they're all there, and so you'll know what each one's called. Your manual can help you identify each one. Now, before you can start using the tools, you first have to determine the number of inlets you'll need and where to place them. This might be the most important step in the whole process, because proper planning now will make installation easier and guarantee your central vacuum system reaches throughout the house. Plan on using only the interior walls of your home if you can, so you won't have to fight the insulation typically found inside exterior walls. Select a location for an inlet that's as centrally located as possible. The inlet must be within 6 feet or 1.8 meters of a power source to provide electrical power to the rotating brushes in the power head. This low voltage wiring sends a signal to the power unit to turn it on and off. If you're installing your central vacuum system while your home is still under construction, you can use electrified valves. Electrified valves are used in new construction, and installation must be coordinated with an electrician to hook up the electrical line after the tubing has been installed. Of course, electrified valves should be installed before the drywall is hung. These have both low voltage and household wiring connections built in, so you won't need an electrical outlet nearby. Okay, back to the job at hand. Make sure the spot you've chosen for the inlet is between the studs and sound it out to make sure the space is open behind the wallboard. You need to also check the back side of the wall you've selected to make sure it's clear of obstructions such as utilities and outlets. Next, you need a helper to hold the end of the hose at the proposed inlet spot. Then take the other end and walk around, or use a piece of cord or string that is 30 feet long, the length of the hose. You want to be able to reach everywhere, even with furniture in the way. You'll find you may need to change the location, or you may need to add another inlet to cover the entire floor. One inlet usually lets you cover about 700 square feet, or 60 square meters. You'll need to repeat this on each floor of your home. What about installing inlets upstairs? Because there are finished walls above and below the second floor sole plate, installing upstairs inlets can take a little bit more ingenuity. You could place an inlet outside a closet and then run the tubing through the wall and through the inside of the closet. Another option is to run the tubing up into the attic and then across and down to the inlet. Yet another solution is to install the upstairs inlet directly into the floor. The inlet can be set flush with the floor, but remain instantly accessible. Plastic inlets are fine as long as they're installed next to the wall where no one will step on them, but metal floor inlets provide added durability. Now, let's decide where to place the power unit. To be sure that dirt, dust, and allergens are effectively removed from living areas in your home, put the power unit in your attached garage. If you don't have an attached garage, the basement is the best location. Find a spot that's relatively close to an electrical source. The area should have plenty of room all around the power unit to let air circulate for adequate motor cooling. And make sure there's enough room to reach and empty the dirt receptacle or filter easily. If your walls are finished, use a stud finder to determine exactly where to set the screws. For the best support, hang the power unit on a stud. If you have to deal with concrete or block walls, mark the holes and use a masonry bit. Then sink either plastic or lead anchors into the holes and screw the mounting bracket into place. You can drill a hole in an exterior wall to run a venting tube outside, but because your system filters air so well, it's really not necessary. To install tubing to carry dirt and dust to the power unit, first plan your route. Running the tubing beneath the subfloor is recommended whenever possible because it makes tubing easier to work with and it creates the shortest path between the inlets and the power unit. If the vacuum tubing has to run next to a water heater or chimney flue, for your safety and to comply with building codes, use metal central vacuum system tubing for that section. If the tubing runs through an unheated attic or other unprotected environment, wrap or cover it with insulation to prevent condensation and the possibility of clogging. All right, you've got your inlet sites picked out, you've hung your power unit, and you've charted the simplest, straightest route for the tubing. Now you're ready to get out the toolbox to begin installing your inlet valves. First, use a screwdriver to wedge the molding aside, then take a wire hanger and snip a straight piece from it. Insert the wire into the chuck of your drill. And then, holding the drill vertically, right beneath the intended inlet site, slowly drill down into the floor alongside the baseboard or where the wall and floor intersect. Then go downstairs. There's the wire. Now you can see exactly where the inlet's going to be right above you. Next, drill a 2 1/4 inch diameter hole. That's about 5.4 centimeters in the bottom of the hollow wall through what's called the sole plate. Make sure you're cutting in between the walls. The tubing is 2 inches or 5 centimeters in diameter, so the hole will give you some room to manipulate the tubing. Now grab a flashlight and take a peek for obstructions. If it looks clear, take a piece of tubing and run it up to check for obstructions. If there are obstructions, you may need to move the inlet site. If there are no obstructions, it's time to go back upstairs and mark the inlet location on the wall.